Hey, quick question for you.
Yeah, buddy.
You talking about Russell Wilson's leadership style? You've never seen that before?
Ever.
What was Peyton like?
Peyton was he was like a guy you'd want to drink. I think so here, I've actually had to break this down. I had to give a speech. It's years ago. Let me see if I can remember it. There's different leadership styles, right? There's like the do as I say, not as I do style. I think Bob Knight was like that. And I'm saying that strictly because our pilot yesterday was the biggest Bob Knight fan I've ever met in my entire life. And we were delayed 2 hours. So I got a chance to chat with this guy a lot. Very entertaining. But he said he demanded like perfection from his players, but he was always like rough and scruffy. Yeah. He always demanded them to be like polite. He was not at all. So it was like a do as I say, not as I do. Then there's people that lead through like fear. Like if you do something wrong, you're going to get punished for it worse than you could ever imagine. So it's just a fear concept. And then there's people that lead by like, hey, I want to be somebody that you look up to so much that you don't want to let me down.
By example.
No, it's not even by example. It's somebody where, well, I guess that is kind of it, but where it's somebody like you don't want to let them down,
okay.
Right? So like they're friends with you, like they're like, hey, I want to do my job because the guy that this is all going to fall on will get kind of knocked off if I don't, right? So like I want to do my job so well that this guy can succeed without me letting him down, right? So it's like it's more like a caring leadership style. So I think there's like, do as I say, not as I do as I do, like follow me. Then there's the fear tactic. Then there's the one where it's like, I don't want to let that guy down. Mm-hmm. And I would think Peyton was the do as I do and also don't want to let that guy down type leader, right? So he was the first guy in, last guy out, actual. Like they say that about everybody. I don't know how everybody can be the first person in and the last one out, because by its saying itself, you can't have more than one person be the first one in, and you can't have more than one person be the last one out. So they say that about everybody. It's physically impossible. But with Peyton, it was real because Peyton didn't have like a photographic memory. So he had to put in the hours and hours and hours of work, right? Studying. He didn't have the biggest arm, even though he was 6'5", laser rocket arm. He did not have that strong of an arm. So the reps that he had to have so he could drop the ball in a bucket had to happen. So he was a do as I do type guy. And then he befriended he befriended me. I was the punter, rookie punter. He befriended everybody in there where you didn't want to let the guy down. So I think that was his two things. I've been a part of every style of leadership, every single one of them. And I would say the one that is the worst is the fear one, because you can't sleep at night, right? That's the one that kind of scares you. That's kind of how college was. I think a lot of college coaches do that because you're trying to shape young boys into men at that point. But for me, the one about like, hey, I don't want to let that guy down, I think is the most efficient way to do things. But in that particular case, if you get one leak chain that doesn't really have a lot of accountability or isn't all in, you can kind of lose that way too. But for me, that's what Peyton was. He was do as I do and don't let me down type guy.
I look at that clip of him lighting up Jeff Saturday on the sidelines, and like that's always what I think of Peyton. He's like the quintessential like light a fire under your ass kind of guy, but he'll also dap you up right
and
after
have a beer with you.
Exactly. And like you would never see Russell Wilson do that. He's just positive reinforcement, like, hey, it's going to be okay. We're going to be all right. We're going to come back around and do this again. Like,
by the way, Tom pretty fiery on the sideline throughout his entire career. That other day, though, it was like he was saying, like, I'm not mad. I'm disappointed. I'm not mad. We cut a couple guys that probably could be faster, quicker, more explosive, but this is what we got. That's tough.